Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov, his crowning achievement, his last and most ambitious novel, serialized from 1879 to 1880, a work of over 350,000 words, a philosophical epic, a family tragedy, a murder mystery, and a profound meditation on the human condition. Dostoevsky wrote it in his final years, after decades of epilepsy, poverty, exile, mock execution, gambling addiction, and the loss of loved ones. He poured everything into it: his faith, his doubts, his rage against nihilism, his belief in redemption through suffering and love. The novel asks questions that still burn today. Does God exist? If he does, why suffering? Why evil? Why the torment of innocent children? Can humanity bear true freedom? Or do we crave chains for the sake of happiness? Is moral responsibility universal? Or does everything become permitted without God? The story unfolds in a small Russian provincial town, Skotoprigonyevsk, in the 1860s, a place of gossip, hypocrisy, hidden passions, and the clash between old faith and new ideas. At the center stands the Karamazov family, a grotesque portrait of human nature in miniature. The patriarch, Fyodor Pavlovich Karamazov, a 55-year-old landowner, once poor, now rich through cunning deals and exploitation. Fyodor is a sensualist, a compulsive liar, a buffoon, a drunkard, obsessed with money, wine, women, and mockery. He lives without shame, without conscience, treating everyone, especially his sons, as objects of amusement or nuisance. Yet beneath the vulgarity, there flickers a strange, twisted self-awareness, a recognition of his own depravity that makes him even more disturbing. Fyodor Pavlovich is the dark soil from which the brothers sprout, each inheriting fragments of his chaos, his vitality, his capacity for both destruction and, perhaps, salvation. He has 3 legitimate sons from 2 marriages and 1 illegitimate, shadowy figure. The eldest, Dmitri Fyodorovich, called Mitya, 28 years old, a former army officer, passionate, impulsive, a storm of emotion. Mitya was raised away from his father, neglected, forgotten, sent to relatives after his mother's death. He grows up wild, generous to excess, capable of heroic acts, but also of violent rage. He returns to town, demanding his inheritance, money from his dead mother's estate, money Fyodor has squandered or hidden. But the conflict goes far deeper. Mitya falls into a destructive love triangle, first engaged to the proud, aristocratic Katerina Ivanovna, a woman of wounded dignity and iron will, who loves him out of a sense of duty, but whose heart is conflicted. Then, he becomes obsessed with Agrafena Alexandrovna Svetlova, called Grushenka, a beautiful, sharp-witted, independent woman with a painful past, who delights in manipulating powerful men, including both Mitya and his father. Jealousy consumes Mitya. He threatens Fyodor, shouts in public, "I could kill the old reptile," words that will echo tragically. Mitya embodies the sensual, the carnal side of the Karamazov nature, unchecked passion, the danger of unchecked desire, yet also the capacity for genuine remorse, for nobility, for sacrifice. The second son, Ivan Fyodorovich, 24, brilliant, aloof, a university-educated intellectual, a journalist, a philosopher. Ivan was also raised apart by distant relatives. After his mother's early death, he is cold, analytical, tormented by questions no one else dares ask. Ivan cannot reconcile a loving God with a world full of suffering, especially the suffering of children. He collects stories of cruelty, of innocent victims, of torture, and says, "I most respectfully return him my ticket," refusing to accept harmony built on tears. Ivan's mind is razor sharp, he declares. If God does not exist, everything is permitted. Yet that very idea haunts him, drives him toward despair, toward hallucinations, toward breakdown. Ivan represents the modern intellect, reason without faith, doubt without resolution, the terror of a godless universe, the youngest legitimate son, Alexei Fyodorovich, Alyosha, 20, gentle, radiant, compassionate, the moral heart of the novel. Alyosha chooses the path of the monastery, becomes a novice under Elder Zosima, a wise, humble, saintly monk. Zosima teaches that every person is responsible for every other, that we are all guilty before all, that active love, forgiveness, humility can redeem the world. Alyosha lives this teaching. He listens, he comforts, he believes, even when faith seems impossible. He moves through the family's storm like a quiet light, mediating conflicts, offering hope, embodying the Christianity Dostoevsky loved, not rigid rules, but lived kindness, lived responsibility. And then, the fourth, Pavel Fyodorovich Smerdyakov, the servant, the cook, epileptic, illegitimate, born of Fyodor's violation of a beggar woman called Stinking Lizaveta. Smerdyakov grows up in the household, intelligent, resentful, mocking, a mirror of the family's corruption. He admires Ivan's ideas, quotes them, twists them, uses them as justification. His presence is a constant reminder of how sin, neglect, cruelty echo through generations. The novel begins slowly with the family's history, the brothers' return, the gathering at the monastery. Fyodor arrives with Ivan, mocking everything, humiliating everyone. Dmitri storms in, raging over money, over Grushenka. Elder Zosima, sensing the coming tragedy, bows deeply to Dmitri, foreseeing his suffering. Zosima teaches profound lessons. We are all connected, all responsible. Hell is the suffering of being unable to love. Heaven is infinite compassion. Then, Book 5. Pro and Contra, the philosophical climax. Ivan meets Alyosha in the tavern, unleashes his rebellion. He speaks of children torn apart by dogs, of mothers watching their babies murdered, of innocents crucified. He asks, how can God allow it? If harmony requires such pain, Ivan refuses it, returns his ticket to the universe. Then he tells his prose poem, The Grand Inquisitor, picture Seville, 16th century, the height of the Inquisition, auto da fe, fires burn, heretics are executed. Then Christ returns quietly in the same human form. He walks among the people, heals the blind, raises a child from the dead. The crowds recognize him, kiss his garments, shout hosannas. But the Grand Inquisitor, a 90-year-old cardinal, withered, eyes like coals, sees from his balcony. He orders the guards, arrest him. The crowd, fearful of the church, falls silent. Christ is taken to a dark, vaulted cell. That night, the iron door opens. The Inquisitor enters alone, with a lamp. He stares at the prisoner, whispers, "Is it you?" Christ is silent. The old man begins his monologue, hours of bitter accusation. He says, Christ misjudged humanity in the wilderness. Satan tempted him 3 times, turned stones to bread, to feed the hungry. Cast yourself from the temple. Let angels prove your divinity. Rule all kingdoms, take earthly power. Christ rejected all 3, choosing free will, faith without miracle, love without force. But the Inquisitor declares, freedom is the cruelest burden. People cannot bear it. They crave bread, certainty, authority. They prefer happiness in chains to the agony of choice. The Church, he claims, has corrected Christ's mistake, taken the devil's gifts, miracle, mystery, power, to rule the masses. We give them what they need, so they can be content. You, Christ, wanted the strong few who could bear freedom. We take the weak millions, make them happy, relieve them of conscience. Christ listens, says nothing. Then he rises, approaches, gently kisses the old man's bloodless lips. The kiss burns like fire. The Inquisitor trembles. his idea unshaken. Yet the kiss lingers. He opens the door, whispers, "Go, and come no more." Christ walks into the night, vanishing. This legend, Ivan's creation, captures the novel's deepest conflict: freedom versus security, Christ's radical demand versus human frailty, faith versus control. It asks, is true love possible without choice? Is happiness without freedom real happiness or illusion? The plot darkens. Fyodor is murdered, brutally, in his home. Money stolen. Evidence points to Dmitri, his threats, his desperation. The investigation, the trial, becomes a spectacle, exposing lies, passions, hidden motives. Smerdyakov's role emerges, influenced by Ivan's words, twisted into action. Ivan descends into madness, hallucinations, guilt, confrontation with the devil in his own mind. Alyosha, through it all, holds to hope, comforts the suffering, especially a group of schoolboys, including the dying Alyosha, teaching them about goodness, memory, resurrection. Subplots deepen the themes: the humiliation of Captain Snegiryov, the nihilism of young Kolya Krasotkin, the spiritual crisis after Zosima's death, Alyosha's renewal through Grushenka, the power of one moment of compassion. Dostoevsky refuses simple resolutions. He shows humanity's capacity for evil, cruelty, betrayal. But he also shows grace, forgiveness, brotherhood, the possibility that one good deed, one memory of kindness, can redeem a life. In the epilogue, at Ilyusha's funeral, Alyosha speaks to the boys, promising that goodness endures, that we will all meet again, that love triumphs over death. They shout, "Hurrah for Karamazov!" a cry of hope amid tragedy. The Brothers Karamazov is not merely a novel. It is a mirror, a challenge, a cry from the depths of the soul. It confronts us with our own darkness, our doubts, our capacity for love. It affirms that even in a world of suffering, active love, responsibility for one another, the refusal to judge can bring light. Dostoevsky, through the Karamazovs, asks us today, in our own time of division and despair, can we bear the burden of freedom? Will we choose love, even when it costs everything? Or will we surrender for comfort, for certainty, for chains? If this long journey through the Karamazov world has moved you, stirred your thoughts, challenged your beliefs, like, subscribe, and share in the comments which brother speaks to your own struggles: Dmitri's passion, Ivan's doubt, Alyosha's quiet faith, or the shadows we all carry. What question from the novel keeps echoing in your mind? Until next time, keep seeking truth, keep choosing love, even in the darkest places.